Good morning and good morning world. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, for tuning in. And this is the first episode of No Joke. And this is indeed now. And I got two of my colleagues with me, and we have the great Oz and we have Deniz. And Deniz, how are you doing in the Corona times?
Oh, I'm doing pretty fine. Chilling all the time, playing the guitar, minding all my own business. Sometimes hearing my young couple neighbors having sex. Everything is great.
Around you to say it like this, okay?
Yeah.
So, and Oz, how are you doing in Corona times in Washington State?
Oh, I'm doing great. I get out from underneath my couch and go grocery shopping once every 7 months. So we're really good here. I expect to lose some weight pretty soon because my wife and I are just terrified of going outside. It's fear every day, but we're happy. We're happy.
Okay, but you got to tell me how you can manage this, because I'm also, very, very carefully going outside. Weight. How are you doing this, man?
Well, here's the thing. Since we're not going and patronizing all these fast food places and the crappy food that Americans normally eat, I get to bump up my culinary skills a notch, and I'm actually cooking more. We don't eat out at all anymore, of course, and we're eating healthier because of supply and demand. We went to the market yesterday, and lo and behold, there's no red meat. They're rationing other meats like pork and bacon. So meat's off the diet. We're heading towards veganism, and it's great because my wife, she's from China, and I'm on a little over an acre here. And we are learning how to eat weeds like salad. And these weeds are better than some of the salads that we buy. So thus we get healthier. Everything's home cooking now.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Coming a burger crisis in the U.S.
Yeah. I think Burger King had them all beat by going with that ultimate burger, with a plant burger, because they don't have to worry about the beef so much, maybe, huh?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we should start with our program. We thought we would present a little bit of a variety of topics, and we would like to make the following part, a regular part in our shows. And this is that we address, today in history, that we go back in history and see what happened X epsilon years ago, it's the same day, and in this case, we are going to Germany. And because today, for us Germans, is a very important day. If we go back 75 years in history, we know that Hitler was finally defeated. The Nazi regime in Germany collapsed, and you can see here, how the GIs are reading the latest newspaper, about the killing, about the suicide of Hitler. And you see how Berlin, in this case, looked like. There's a lot of houses and buildings and chambers. And, it was for us, a kind of 0 hours, And though historians, are critical with this, I think looking back, it is a kind of 0 hours, because it was, in fact, the end of the Nazi regime, and I think it was very important that this happened. Unfortunately, it did not happen earlier. But it happened, and I know that Deniz has a little bit to tell about this. He also has a history from his past, and I think it's very interesting because we all know that Deniz is a German, but also with Turkish roots. And I'm curious what he has to say. What was the experience in your family at that time, Deniz?
I can only speak especially for the German part, but a little bit also for the Turkish part. For the German part, I'm a descendant. My grandmother's father was an SS Führer, an SS commander, and she told me some stories about him, like he tried to hide his children before the facts that things were happening, like deportations and killings of Jews and so on. So the first time she heard about all the Holocaust and all the thing was when she was in her teens, or in her early 20s. even so, because this was not a topic where people would talk about this. So there was a big amnesia. People didn't talk about it. From one hour to the next hour, no one was a Nazi, and so on. So yeah. And from the Turkish side,
but you're absolutely right. Everyone who had a connection to the regime or uniforms or stuff like this went into the garden and burned all the stuff. But it depends. In some parts of Germany, there were also still loyal Hitler supporters. Who were hunting. Were happy that Hitler was gone, and this was still happening, though there was absolutely no army anymore. And if you can see the next slide, where the radio information came for the Germans, it was made in the evening of the 9th of May in 1945, and it is quite funny, it began, as you can read here, the Wehrmacht High Command announces, but the problem is it was not existing anymore at the time because it was completely destroyed, and it is also quite remarkable, that we are talking here in Germany about the 0 hour, it is not exactly an hour because, as you can read it here too, in the radio it lasted only 3 minutes, what I think remarkable, if I go back, and see what happened there around, and especially around the begriff the 0 hours, as I said, historians are very critical with this expression because it included, that Germany was a regime, which in parts, of course, is not correct because in the end, a lot of the German population voted for Hitler and they supported him for a long, long time, But it was remarkable to see, what happened, when it actually collapsed in the Führerbunker where Adolf Hitler hid until last week, 75 years ago, and the soldiers, the SS soldiers there, who were absolutely knowing what would come, that it was that they are nearing the end of it all, and the moment Hitler committed suicide, you could see all the SS soldiers, taking their guns and also killing themselves. From their perspective, it was also a 0 hours, it was the hour where they finished their lives, and for others, if you look at what happened in Germany in the concentration camps, those poor people who survived, for them, it was the other side of the 0 hours,
Yeah,
and,
I have to underline this because, as I told you earlier before we started the show, I talked to my grandmother. Her father was really a fanatic and he killed himself really. When he heard Hitler killed himself, he killed himself also. Oh, and therefore, there are two faces to the same coin. You had people who were just afraid of the regime and just went with it. And you had people who really were totally into it and totally following without any hesitation. So, yeah. But I know what you mean within you or where you're coming from.
Yeah. So, it was, so what I want to say is in my perspective, as someone who is not a witness of this time here in Germany, but I think being educated a long time here around this topic, about our past, in my opinion, I feel that is a 0 hours, because I would not imagine, if all this would not happen, that I would still live in a regime like the Nazi regime, or something like this, And so in the end, it's though Germany was completely shattered and broken down, and everything was, there was nothing really existing here anymore, I think it was a good start into a new future for Germany in the end.
Yeah.
All right. So we have another very interesting topic.
Especially for the ladies.
Especially for be careful what you say right now, Deniz.
No,
Deniz,
the thing.
Come on,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Okay, maybe you start. You start with it, Deniz.
The thing is, 90. What was it? 60. Yeah, 1960.
Yeah, 1960.
And then FDA approved the patent and the whole product of the pill. For many men were like, yes, Jesus, we can do our deeds without thinking about it. But for many women, for example, I grew up with women and they told me it's not just a pill to prevent to getting pregnant. This is also something that's helping them with their hormones and all other stuff. So it doesn't only is the pill for one to prevent to get pregnant or something. It is also something, a health benefit to it. So most of us guys with our thing between our legs, we think about, okay, let's go. We don't have to think about it, but it's also a health benefit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, it is good that, today is the 60th birthday, as Deniz already said. And, but if you imagine, if this was prevented already earlier, I think, in the end, Mariah would not have to make up, a Holy Ghost coming over her, and maybe a Donald Trump would not be existing, But this is all speculation, I think. I think we should just celebrate it, because indeed, and Deniz is right there, for women, it was a relief, to have this opportunity,
Oh, guys.
Yes.
Oh, Markus, did you hear the people where Trump's father comes from, the little town here in Germany? There were some nut jobs who built an altar for him, like a Trump altar, like people can go there and pray for Trump.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
They can go pray for Trump?
Where is it? I did not catch it.
I have to look it up again, and maybe I'll bring it up next week.
Oh, I know where that is. It's Dumfuckistan, right? Dumfuckistan. Is that where they go?
No, I guess I only can guess that is, that is a place, where people with dogs go, that they can leave their shit over there. Like, like we saw several times on the Broadway, with his star there,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. Okay. So, we are coming now to a little bit more serious stuff, about one of the most threatening things, which we have to deal with right now. We are talking about a news which came up in the last week. There was a new study coming up, and it showed the new estimation of the scientists regarding the climate catastrophe. And they say that the sea level could rise by 1 meter until 2100, and in case we are missing the emission targets. And let's be honest, I don't think there is not very much optimism that we would reach any of those targets. And the signs are getting more and more drastic and frightening. And I think it is crazy, that we are thinking that we can go on like this, And if we are having a look, have to expect, this until 2300, they are already expecting, that the sea levels would be 5 meters more, Okay, we can argument, that we are not existing anymore in 2300, but it shows, the mess we are in right now. And nobody seems to, or to do a real change, and in contrary, what we saw from the last Michael Moore video, for example, we saw that that large parts of the green energy sector is already in the hands of exactly those companies, who are absolutely not working according, what would be needed to prevent all this. They're only concerned about their own profits, and they're also trying to make a dollar or a euro or whatever currency out of these green energy, and it is frightening, and it is not only the only thing we are confronted with. If you are having a look at the next slide, for example, I put together, which I made it quite quickly yesterday. This was only these things which came into my mind directly, when I was thinking about what's going on here and what is so crazy about it. You see, we are threatened by the climate crisis, raging everywhere, and then you can, and people are pushing, that we are reopening business again. And then you see the results. People are lining up, with face masks, but absolutely no social distancing, and the absurdity goes on top if you go to the third world countries, if you see at the bottom on the left, the people are perched in a kind of cattle wagon, and some are wearing face masks, but all this it shows the complete absurdity we are living in, and I would like to raise a question now to Deniz and also us, what the fuck are we learning from this? What is our take from all this? What is happening for us as a humans? Right, John is preparing, for the worst, he's prepping up, he's trying, to get his stuff, on his own, that he can get his food from his own, and maybe this is the only solution to survive, but is it the only solution? I would like to start with Oz. What do you think, Oz?
Well, you bring up some good points, and it's a pretty broad-ranging number of points these days. I guess what I take from your question is, what am I doing? We're doing like John and others are. We're trying to get into the permaculture. We're growing our gardens more. We're cooking at home. We're not going out. I mean, the whole paradigm is changing. And the road ahead is not going to be anything like the road behind us. The whole system that we have gorged ourselves on, and I mean gorged ourselves from the sense of waste, of food, throwing food out, not using proper growing procedures, killing off the land, turning the oceans into a toilet bowl. I mean, the piper's coming to get paid, and we're seeing it now with this pandemic. No matter what you feel where the pandemic, the origins are, whether it was released on purpose or not, and whatever. The fact of the matter is, it is here, and it has put the brakes on everything in our society, not only in this country, but the entire planet. So, that being said, the new normal is what's in question here with me. And after Deniz gives his, I'd like to come back with another point of view on what you have in the graphic here about people being herded in cattle trucks and socially conditioned. So I'm going to throw it over to Deniz to answer your question, if that's okay, Markus.
Yeah, of course, Deniz, please.
Yeah. Sorry. The thing is, what I think about this whole thing is, I have to say it as a millennial, it's kind of big of cocky or whatever. But as long as the generations of the baby boomers have the power, who were who learned all the propaganda and learned how greed is good and money is everything and so on, because I think my generation is more open because we have the internet, we have all this stuff you guys didn't have, or the older generation didn't have, the information, the freedom to express themselves and so on. And therefore, I would think that my generation will be more resilient than other generations because we faced the catastrophe of the global economic crash in 2008. We don't know anything better. My generation is the first generation who experiences for the last couple of years, even a decade now, a decline in our standard of living. Costs go up and everything. So therefore, I think my generation has the responsibility. I hope we are fit to the challenge. So yeah, I don't know. I'm in a limbo about the whole thing because I'm kind of hopeful for the future, but I'm also very pessimistic because I know there's greed in every human being. It's not just a generational thing, but I don't know. But I personally, if I had the opportunity and the resources and so on, I would go John's way, meaning start farming, go out fishing and so on, and start trying to prepare myself and take care of myself more.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. I think what you guys feel a lot of other people also. But isn't this a kind of giving up? I'm asking because, it is absurd what we are seeing in our daily life, and not only since the coronavirus appeared. It made the complete absurdity, in my opinion, more visible than before. Regarding capitalism, regarding what is relevant, what is system relevant. And it turns out that it's not the human beings, who invented the capitalism, but the capitalism itself is the only thing which is relevant to keep the system alive, And my fear is, and what we are seeing here, with the demands, to reopen business, we are in America, we are also seeing this in Germany, in Europe, And my fear is that every government will, as soon as the coronavirus is halfway done, that they are pushing the people, to consume and consume and consume, to fill the gap, from the month where nothing happened, economy wise,
John, Markus, the thing is, capital has no moral, capital has no empathy, capital doesn't give a shit.
Exactly. That's the point, So, and we are close to the edge, and we are deciding, to say fuck it, and fall down the cliff with open eyes, and this is a kind of stupidity, in my opinion.
But sorry, Markus, I have to say this, but we brought us to the situation. We have to deal with the situation. And if we go under, that's our own fault. There's
no one else to blame, of course.
That's a path of life. If you really want to stretch it to this point, but I don't think we will. The thing is, as long as people live comfortably, look here in Germany. Even I am unemployed. I get my money. I have my apartment here. I have running water. I have and so on. I can take care of myself. Therefore, I am different because I'm open to new ideas, and I'm also thinking about little gardening here with some tomatoes and so on. That's okay, fine. But for the majority of people in wealthy countries, we are still, even with the situation in America, with 30 million people without a job and so on. Even with all this stuff is going on, we didn't hit the point where the societies all over the world get like a slap in the face, like, what the fuck, guys, wake up, see what's really happening. As long as we have the standard like we have now, or the situation like we had before the crisis, nothing will change. As long as you have to eat, to drink, and have a little standard or something to live for, or you live with, and so on, and you have a kind of feeling everything is okay, nothing will change. Human beings only changed when the shit hits the fan, and nothing else. This is my perspective, and this is something in my young life I experienced personally. Therefore, yeah.
Okay. So I see there's also some kind of optimism in it, because if you describe the situation, to be a slap in the face, I would draw a more drastic picture. I would say is we're having a foot in the neck, and without teeth in the ground. This is what I feel about this, and what you say, that if you look at Germany or other European countries, that we are that we are taken care of, by our. Okay, this is what's happening at the moment, but this doesn't say that it stays like this,
No.
And
therefore, I have my little backpack with a knife, firestone, some medicine, and so on. With the shit hits the fan, I have the skills to hunt, to fish, to build me a shelter, and so on. Therefore, I'm a little bit more. It's quite kind of sounds crazy, but I am not bound to this place where I'm living right now. So I have no family. I'm on my own. I literally, if the shit hits the fan, I'm prepared to go out and try to survive.
Okay.
So
these are our Ross, please.
Yeah. This is a good conversation that I think a lot of people are having across the world. And I want to say out of the gate, I have a question for you guys. When we were younger, when we were growing up, we were always of a mind of, we didn't have these worries per se that we do now. So it was back then, it was what if it was that creative mind thinking about what about the future? What can I do? Where today, don't you feel more like it's not what if anymore, it's what is. And that's how you are going to go forward in the future. Now, Deniz, you say you're ready to go. You got your knife. You can go hunting. What about this big factor? All your sisters and brother in the world who are going to go hunting too. You've got to factor that in with what you're doing when food stores get scarce. When this dystopian society starts getting crazy, don't you think I'm sure we all would consider more of building coalitions and groups and little tribal situations where we can. Some people who are too weak to go out and trap and hunt and do things like that or fend for themselves are going to rely on people like you and Markus and John and Laura and myself to help share that non-capitalist thing, but it's a survival situation where we're going to have to grow extra food for our community, and it's not bartering as much as it's working together to build a better society. Wouldn't you think that's how we should look at it?
Yeah, that's how we should look at, but hey, I'm realistic and I'm kind of will sound like a dick, but if really hits the fan.
Everybody for themselves?
Everybody, I think we got, beside Markus and my family, I would do everything so they survive first. And maybe we will meet people who think like us, or we meet up in groups. It's kind of crazy to even compare because it's a TV show, but it's like in Walking Dead, like you have a group of people, you build something up and so on. Okay. But I think in the first couple of weeks, months, or even the first 2 or 3 years, even if I'm able with my family and so on to survive, as long as this was like, okay, there is a piece of bread. I have 6 people in my family. We have to survive. But this is also the nature of the human being, where we're coming from. We were social people, we are social beings, but if it goes into survival mode or instincts, we think, this is also another thing, what I want to say. We humans do the mistake of thinking of we are humans, so we are above this chain, about everything. We are not part of nature, or we are not animals in that case, because we think we are so. This is also a thing. But if there are studies out, and even I experienced this when I was in the army, if you're out there without anything, you get in survival mode, and therefore I don't know. Yeah, but also I would like to. Sorry, Markus, but also you wanted to say something before we got into here, or does it not contribute to the whole thing now?
Well, I guess you mean my point about what we used to think in a creative mind thinking of where we could go in life.
Yeah. You wanted to add something to this.
I did. Like I said, the paradigm is shifting. And our whole mindset on growth capitalism as being the mechanism that society is built on is all but dead in my mind, because it's dying with us killing the planet. And if we want future human beings, much less the planet, to survive, we better start thinking a little more thoughtfully, instead of, some would per se, selfishly, about where we want to go in the future. Otherwise, I believe it's going to be a circle that keeps on winding down to the point where there is no more us with oceans rising and everything else. We've got to get our heads out of our local asses and start thinking more thoughtfully about how we need to do things. And the rich, the wealthiest, the plutonomists out there, the oligarchy, don't want anything to do with that. They want short-term game, and they want to live in comfort as they go out. I truly believe they don't give a shit about anybody except their wealth and power.
Yeah,
and
I think so too.
You brought up interesting points, and this brings me back, to the part where which we started the show, the 0 hours, I brought to you the example, what happened with the SS soldiers once Hitler committed suicide. They killed themselves.
Yeah.
But what did they before they killed themselves? They celebrated a giant orgy. And I think I have a bad thought in this, because I think that maybe we crossed the point where people, know what is going to happen with us, with the earth, but they feel themselves so powerless that they continue to do what they are doing, because the neighbor does the same what they are doing, and then there's a point, where everything doesn't matter anymore, so then we can, it's a cynical way, then there you have the orgy, before everyone has a gun at his head and pulls the trigger,
Sounds like Rome, Marcus. Rome, remember?
Exactly.
Rome.
Exactly.
It's Rome all over again.
Our whole capitalism system we are living right now, you can look back in history like Rome, like the Ottoman Empire and so on. It's the same playbook here. It's the same
It is
playbook.
Always the same playbook, but maybe this time it is irreversible, because there's so much influences, as you said, currently, we are doing good in Europe, what our social systems, etc. are concerned, but with as we saw, 1 meter, and we not half a meter, 30 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and you have a complete different picture everywhere in the world, And when and if, and there I'm coming back to what Oz said, about this dystopian societies, and once a democracy, which is a very tender plant, in my opinion, which needs to be watered every day, when this is gone, then you have a dystopian society, and then you have exactly the picture what Deniz drew, that you have the Walking Dead scenario, and then we will have a group, and every one of us will call us, we are Negan. Yeah. Because there is no civilization anymore, survival of the fittest. It is a fall back into the old behavior.
But what do you understand under the umbrella of civilization?
I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
I think, what do you think, or what do you have in mind under the umbrella of civilization? Is it what we have now? We call now what we have now civilization. Therefore, the whole concept of civilization, or be civil, or how we organize and so on, have to be put in question. Think about, like I would like to see around the world, like the old Bedouins in the deserts and North Africa, like doing. So the tribes meet once a month or every 2 months, discuss about what's going on. So you guys need water. Okay, how much do you need? Okay, you get it. So you guys need some food. Okay, you get it. I would like to see a world. I have to reference John again. I would like to see a Star Trek world where we have the resources, we have these kind of people, and then we will say, okay, for example, in Germany, we need this, and in China, we need this. And so we see we have this kind of situation. Okay, let's pull our resources together. We're one human species on this planet, and we have to get our shit together, and let's see who needs help, and so on and so on. And on one point I have to say, and I agree with you, Oz, with rich people and class. Not all rich people are assholes, but most of them are. But the thing is, it's kind of built in our systems. For example, why is it that you in America have to pay high high dollars for your education, because isn't this a kind of a plan to have a certain percentage of the population, keep them dumb?
That's exactly why.
Because dumb people eat every shit, buy every shit without a question. So we have the same situation here in Germany. For example, I kind of find it ridiculous. We have 16 states here in Germany, and we have 16 different school systems here. And there are several studies for decades now, for I think 2 or 3 decades now, even here in Germany, where they're saying the living or the standard of your living that your parents have determined the living and standard and how far the child goes in his life, career-wise, work-wise, and so on. And nothing will change. For example, what I love, I'm a little bit a nerd regarding education, because I'm now 31 and I will visit the college this fall again. But I like to take the Finns as a perfect educational system, because they have no private universities. They're starting from year 1 onwards to your PhD. It's all funded. It's even forbidden by law to open vouchers or private schools like in Harvard and so on. Because, for example, I watched Where to Invade Next by Michael Moore, and he was in Finland, and he was asking the Minister of Education, do you not have written Harvard or so on? And she told him, we have 20 Harvards, because every school is equal. So the rich kid has to go to school with the poorest kid, and so on. So therefore, you educate the kids equally, and not equally. For example, there are slow starters and fastest, but the social thinking about, like, you're a rich guy and I don't like you because you're rich, so I don't know how to say, but there's something going on around the world. If we, for example, what I also don't get is, why are we so thinking in the little terms of countries? Like we see, for example, in Finland, the education system is superb. The maternity death rate is the lowest in Estonia. Why don't we take the things they do great for everyone around the world? The healthcare system is there great. Why don't we bring some standards around the world? Yeah, so I go too far.
No. But I can give you a direct. But all what you said, this would be smart moves, But this is exactly the problems. We as a human nature, we as a human species, in my opinion, my personal opinion, we are not smart, If we were smart, we would not have the conditions, we would not have the slide over there, We would have learned from our thousands of years, of behavior, which we, as a matter of fact, not change very much. We are still fixated, on ego, on greed, and, that's it. That's it. What brought us into this mess, because we are not intelligent, I always say, it is a purpose, why we are positioned in our galaxy, which would be in a restaurant, that we are far, far away, and, you said in the beginning, we are causing this mess ourselves, but the fact that we did not learn anything from our history, so we fail. And I don't have much optimism in me about this.
Let me speak to Deniz's point briefly, if I may. Like Markus points out, history, we don't learn well. We're kind of dumb as an overall species. But I challenge that, just to the extent of some of our species have learned quite well. To Deniz's point, an educated masses are going to make change. And in the United States in particular, because we're a world power, because we have more nukes and we have more invested into the entire world, is why we're going empire regime change, like Abby Martin talks about when the Empire Files. I believe, and I won't get too deep into this, that our financial position in the world is based on our military strength, the petrodollar, everything else. And the education system, if the education system were as good as the places you talk about, Finland and other socialized countries. I hate that socialist because people don't know what that means. But socialized together means together. If our education system were what it needed to be to help elevate our ability for critical thinking and historical fact and learning from things, that would terrify the oligarchs, the world overlords. That's why they do not do it in this country, because some of us, and they're getting ready to squash us, and I don't care because I'm going to go out swinging because it's the right thing to do. So that, to your point, Dennis, that's exactly why we are being socially conditioned from birth to know what we like, to be herded to where we're supposed to go, to where our standing is supposed to be in society. For the working poor of this country, we're supposed to be here, while the plutocracy have their own plutonomy, which came out on Rising yesterday. I think Crystal said plutonomy. We have two economic systems. We have the social economic system, then we have the economic system of the rich. They want to keep their power, and that's where it's at. So you brought up an excellent point, Dennis, and I'm glad you expanded on it.
And don't make a mistake, while in America, you doing the hardcore version of exactly what you said, Oz, don't make the mistake. It is not different in Europe or in Germany. We are also have to function in the same patterns. It is also the same. It is birth, school, work, death. It is, and you got to take a credit. You be dependent on banks and stuff. And they got you on on your balls. And you can never go away again. And the other point is about America. What education concerns. It is not only education, it is not only healthcare, it is not only the fact that you have to vote on a working weekday, on a Tuesday, which normally should be a day to celebrate right that you can vote, that you can pass your vote, all these things, and then if you make up your mind, okay, who are the guys, who are who tell us they are going for interests, that they would do something for us. They are fucking private clubs. The Democratic Party is a private club. The Republican Party is a private club. And they make their fucking own rules. And they don't also give a fuck to change the rules whenever they would like. And all this would prevent anything which would make the oligarchs and all the big money guys, suffer. It would not happen in a lifetime.
Markus, this totally reminds me of George Carlin when you talk like this. He was like,
I take this as a compliment. I love George Carlin.
The thing is
right.
That I always get in my mind when we talk about this topic is what George Carlin said in his last special. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Baby. Yes,
it's a biggie fuck club. Club who bought all the lawyers, all the judges. But they have the big media companies. They have all the conglomerates. Then own every special land in the what they get. They even privatize water and so on and so on. And what did he also say famously? And everyone in our audience will know this. The American dream, you have to be asleep to believe.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And now look at what's going on. The Americans are sitting there, watching a charade, performed by the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, while Warren Buffett, it was Warren Buffett who a couple of years said, there is not a war between the left and the right, it's the war between the poor and the rich are gonna win this war. And this is exactly what's happening, and all other stuff, Democratic, Republican bullshit is only to to keep away our views on what's really happening. It is like a magician, who is doing a trick while completely different things are happening at the same time,
Yeah, and also I would like to break the thinking of people like, I'm on the left, I'm on the right. This is the thinking from the French Revolution. This way, because the people on the left were the people who wanted to kill the king, and people on the right were the people who loved the king, who were monarchists. And therefore, I personally would never go to say I'm on the left side or right side. It's just what's right, what's morally, what's for the community, and so what's right. Please, let's get away from this thinking. Let's break this whole dynamic, because it distracts us from really what's going on. Because if you say, "Oh, I'm a lefty," or "I'm a righty," whatever, that's totally takes some neurons from your brain just to think about this. But this neuron you can use to learn a new skill or whatever that really helps the people around you and yourself. So
smoke and mirrors, baby. Smoke and mirrors. It's a big club, and you ain't in
it. Yeah.
That's right. You're exactly right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay. So
let's do our last segment and then
no, it's not the last one.
Okay. Sorry.
It's no problem at all. Okay. Do you want to take over or shall I go on?
You go on.
All right. Okay. We are coming to the good news. Really, we have good news. And this concerns, this is a long story, and maybe can drop slide 18, It has to do with the Native Americans, and the Irish people. I learned, from an article in Sunny Skies that in 1847, the Native American tribe, let me see here, which was on the Trail of Tears. It was the American Choctaw Indian tribe. I hope I pronounce it correctly.
That's correct. Choctaw,
who were on the Trail of Tears in 1847. Made it happen. To gather $170 for people suffering in Ireland. I think it was exactly during the time when the big potato crisis was over there, when people are starving over there. But look at, and this is exactly what we were talking before. This is exactly the sign we would need to have, People in despair, who are on the Trail of Tears, have the heart for people who are living thousands of miles away in another country in Ireland, and they are taking care of them, And I think this is remarkable, and I think this is exactly the spirit we would need to transport, to survive, And, And 73 years later today, there was put up a GoFundMe because the Native Americans are suffering very, very hard from the coronavirus and what's coming with it, And they made up this crowdfunding. And the last thing I checked yesterday, the article says they made about 2.5 million already, but yesterday I checked it was more than 3 million already. And I think this is a big help, and I think it is a good sign, to show support for people who are suffering, And if you want to go also and spend a few dollars, you can below the video, And well, I think this was an uplifting news, in all this mess which is surrounding us. And yes. As I say, this is the spirit, we should keep up, to get our shit done, right?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. But this is also an example to look for, like, inspiration, like what you really can do, because most of us really think we are powerless or helpless. But hey, just go out your house or wherever you live, maybe go to a neighbor you never spoke with, and you kind of have some resentment or thinking about like, oh, this douchebag or whatever. No, just go ahead and say, hey, if the neighbor is a douchebag, okay, it, but maybe you find some friendly words and maybe get friendly with each other. And then if something happens, you have someone maybe who helps you. So therefore, this is something I do. Normally, I'm really close to myself. I don't want to get in business of other people. Maybe it's also a German thing. I don't know. But I started to, like I said, 3 weeks ago, I started to help people in my apartment building. Like, I have an old lady here who's 82 years old. She can't cook anymore. And she doesn't have any siblings or family left. And I cooked twice a week for her and spent an hour with her. And this is something that really is helping her. And maybe I make her day, and also makes my day, because I'm not alone. I'm really responsible. I take on my gloves and have my face mask on. So I don't know if I'm have the virus. I don't know, but I don't.
I wish everybody would do things like that, Deniz. I commend you, sir. That's example. That's setting by leading. That is fantastic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Or the young couple I said about, who are really busy at nights. We help each other, because the one from the couple, the male, Osman, he is really sick, and she's a nurse, because he's so sick he can't work, and she is most of the time at home. So I cook also for them. So she has to leave for an hour, or so that she's just can sit down and chill also for an hour. So hey, that's all I can do at the moment, because I'm without a job. So but just do little things. Just do little things.
You're right.
A little effort can change the world of another human being.
You're right, man.
Yeah.
Heaps good what you're doing, and it's also good to know that they're not afraid of your mustache, you know.
I will grow it out. I told the guys.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, I will grow it out, shrivel it up, and grow out also the rest. I will go like 1920s, 1930s Berlin nightlife style. Like I will, as soon as I have money again and a job and so on, I would go style like with vests and a little bit chic. But my resolution, or my thing I will change about my lifestyle after this whole thing is a little bit over. I will only buy stuff from secondhand shops, because I don't want to be part of the fast fashion thing that is really also a big part of the destruction of our planet. But hey, that's me. I'm totally. Let's go.
So maybe we should consider, you know, maybe you make a secondhand fashion show also for UHM.
Yeah, in the
this
future,
would be great. You know, style, you know, 40 style, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Markus, as far as Deniz doing a fashion show, when did thongs come out? Was that in the 90s? or the Speedos were before the thongs, right? So Speedos, then thongs. So we're waiting.
You brought that up. Guys, did you try on once the thong? I did. And it's not really comfortable. I don't get it. Okay. Maybe for women it's more comfortable because they don't have the junk between them.
Yeah, could be.
So this could be the solution, Deniz.
They didn't have my size. They didn't have my size, Deniz. I can only say, take it any way you like it. They didn't have my size.
So then we can. I will work for next week that Deniz will demonstrate us his abilities, you know, regarding thongs.
Okay.
We will have a deep conversation regarding this after the show.
I got a hell of a visual going on. I can't wait.
And this would boost our ratings.
Oh yeah.
We have a saying for this us here in Germany. Head cinema.
Head cinema.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. I got a lot of cinema in this big fat head of mine, so that's terrible.
All right. So, guys, we are coming to our last segment for today. And this is, I don't really know what to say about it, you know. It is, yes, we cannot, we have to talk about Joe Biden a bit, you know. And, but to be honest, we should talk about Biden. Okay, we are showing the clip in a moment, because I would like, you know, to tell us what is going on in this video. I would like to get your opinions below the video. What the hell he's doing there. He is giving the video, is about, giving advice about social distancing, but if you're looking at it, you can give Joe Biden only the advice, to social media distancing, because I ask people, I talk to Deniz, I talk to us, nobody of us has a clue what the fuck does this thingy do, and so this is your task until next week, please put your comments below. What does this mean? Yes? And Oz, please, can you run this?
Keegan, do you have any threes?
No, I don't. Do you have any nines?
Yeah. I always start with dessert.
Is the name Maurice funnier than Martin?
I like Maurice.
One R. Yeah, don't try too hard.
Working on a speech that I'm going to need you to deliver.
We should try to find a place for the word loquacious. 41 down, comedy duo Key and Blank. How many E's in Peel?
3. 3 E's in Peel. 3.
It's 13.
Come on, Keegan, you can do 20. Keegan, I do everything 46 these days.
That's 20.
Do 30, Keegan. 30. 10 more.
Come on, Joe.
30. Pretty good, man.
Yeah, is that nice?
Pretty good. I'm still working on my sunglasses.
But, Joe, I got to get going.
Where are you going? You're quarantined. You can't go anywhere. We're in quarantine.
Yep, you're right. You're right.
Keegan, do you have any threes?
I do, Joe. Yes, I do.
What the actual fuck?
All right. Okay, when I saw this first, I missed the grandiose joke, he made about the push, He made 46 push. Wow, this is a great joke, man.
Yeah, I caught that the first time around, and I'm going, really?
Oh, wow.
Really? What were I doing?
Thank you very much, Density, for your donation. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Density. Yay.
Guys, the good thing right now
you know what to do right now. Please tell us what the meaning of this is. Maybe it's a kind of Kafkaesque, or maybe it's art. I don't know. Maybe we will see this in 20 years, somewhere in a museum, because it is celebrated because of being something special. I don't know. I'm completely lost about this,
Hey, I'm sitting in my kitchen, so I only have to stretch out my arm, open the door, get my knife, and put it in my heart. So this is all I have to say about this video, eh?
Okay, of course. Deniz won't do this, of course. Don't be worried, because next week he got to present a thong thingy.
Yeah, well, Deniz, do you live in an apartment, and how high is your floor? That's what we should be worried about. You don't want to fling yourself out the window when you see this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm living in the second floor. This is about 50 meters. I don't know what's in.
Okay. Well, that's not a sure thing, so forget that. So anyway.
And then also I have the grass behind me, so
cushion your fall. So, you'd be like a turd splattering on the ground. Don't do it. Don't do it, brother Deniz. So.
All right, guys. So we made the first episode of No Joke. I hope you enjoyed to watch it. I hope you will join us next week as well. With us, I hope. With Deniz, I hope. I hope that John will be with us. Maybe we can have Amos on the show next week. I will talk to him. And I hope, as I said, you enjoyed it. And regarding upcoming events, Oz, do you want to add something?
Yeah, we're doing a lot here at Uphill Media. We've got some new shows coming up, and of course, I'll go over tonight. We've got Town Hall with Our Revolution. we are going to be talking about election integrity, which is going to be a great show with Rhonda, Courtney, maybe Shonda, and Amber. Then tomorrow morning, we got Larry Taylor with PDPR talking about that, which is going great guns. We're networking across the country with people who understand or who want to reform the Democratic Party, people for Democratic Party reform. We know that a lot of people aren't interested in the Krats after what they pulled in this last round of election rigging, primary rigging, but we understand it's no good to leave that front unchecked. So people who want to stay in the party and try and reform that beast or whatever, we're promoting that as well. We've got to attack it at all angles. We have a premiere coming up this week with Shonda L. Masta called The Accidental Tourist or Activist. Tourist, I get that movie thing all the time. I'm getting dinged. But The Accidental Activist, she is a serious blonde that premieres on Thursday night, Pacific time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Shonda Masta, she's terrific. She's been on the Daily Dive a couple of times this week. And speaking of the Daily Dive, we are going to be down Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday because the Beastie, the big live stream studio here, has been a little cranky lately. So we're going to let Lars and Boris take it into the dungeon on Monday and give it a couple of turns on the rack and get the Beastie back up to snuff so we can keep doing these wonderful productions out of Germany. We've got one coming up with Abby Lane in Scotland, and she's the Gen Z point of view. I want to thank everybody here personally, and thank you, Markus and Deniz, for having me on the show so I can just monologue you to death. Again, it's great to see our group, Melissa, Barbara, Jilly, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
No offense taken. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
Great to have you on.
And as it is a good tradition, we are going out with a song, and we're going, man, and it fits, to the situation we're in, he says, my shit's fucked up. Enjoy it and see you next week. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.
Doctor, I said I'm feeling kind of rough. He said, I'll break it to you, son, your shit's fucked up. I said, my shit's fucked up? Well, I don't see how. He said, the shit that used to work, it won't work now. Had a dream, shucks, oh well, now it's all fucked up, it's shot to hell. Yeah, my shit's fucked up, it has to happen to the best of us, the rich folks suffer like the rest of us, it'll happen to you. Amazing grace sort of passed you by. You wake up every day and you start to cry. Yeah, you wanna die.